Hey everyone. So today's video is going to be more of a serious one. Um, I wanted to make a tribute video for 9/11 and talk a little bit about the 9/11 Memorial and Museum located in New York City. So in spring of 2018, I had taken a school trip to New York City, and one of the places we went to was the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. We got to see the One World Observatory, which is basically the rebuilt World Trade Center. It is the highest building in the United States and overall the Western Hemisphere, which includes basically North America and South America. The building, including the spear on it, reaches 1,776 feet, which is a direct reference to the year that the Declaration of Independence was signed. For you to go see the One World Observatory, the general admission starts at $38 online, and the top floor is at 1,368 feet. Um, I do recommend going here and checking that out if you are in the area. You, the top floor is just all windows, so you can see all of New York City. You can see Ellis Island, the Statue of Liberty. Um, if you are afraid of heights, this is definitely something that you would not want to do. Like I said, the top floor is pretty high up. Um, Me personally, I was too young when 9/11 happened to remember where I was that day and all the details. And honestly, something I always found odd was hearing. As a child, I often watched these documentaries, like we would learn about it in school, and people would say they thought it was an accident. And I never really fully understood that aspect as to how someone could think it was an accident. But being in New York City, walking the streets, and seeing the planes flying, I definitely it opened up my eyes and put into perspective how an accident like that could have occurred. And when I was on the top floor of the One World Observatory, um, at one point I remember looking out the window and there was a plane with its landing gear out still. It had just taken off from a nearby airport, and it was flying at the same exact height as I was on the top floor of that building. So, um, being there in person, it really put into perspective that kind of situation. When we first got to the memorial and the museum, we probably only had about an hour and a half, I think, so it wasn't too much time. We expected to spend more time there, but it was our last day and we had to catch our flight home. So, um, walking there, we saw a statue that's called the Spear. It was there when the towers fell, and you can see debris had landed on the statue, forcing it to cave in on itself. Um, we saw the pools as well, and it has everyone's names carved on them. Um, there's flowers left there for certain names. There's small US flags left there. They put like the flight, they have all of it engraved in those pools. and you could actually see those pools as well in the One World Observatory and really see how high up you are. Um, Walking into the museum, um, as you could tell, it's rough for me just discussing it because it really, I think it gave me a better understanding of what everyone felt like on that day. Um, you walk in and you could see old, like an old pillar and an old staircase. Um, they have a fire truck that is partially crushed on display in there. They have photos and um, they have a watch that somebody was wearing. They have a jet engine. They have the sounds. They warn you if you're sensitive towards anything to kind of, this might not be for you as well. Um, the sounds going in there though, and hearing, I can't even describe what it was like. They had news stations on and interviews, and what ended up happening when I went there was we had about an hour and a half, and you walk in and there's this one square room, and you're not allowed to have your phone on at all in this room. No photos, no nothing in this room. So you walk into this square room, and within this square room is another smaller square room. On the outskirts of this room, though, is a bunch of photos of those who have passed away due to the attacks of 9/11. So you walk into this small room, and there's benches, and on one side of the room is a projector on the wall, and what they do is they go through and they talk about everybody who passed away that day, and they have family members and friends kind of talk about their life and what that person was like. So I spent basically the entire time in this room just watching, and so did a good majority of our group from this trip, and there wasn't a dry eye by the time we left the museum. Um, it If you're sensitive to this kind of stuff, it definitely, there, like I said, there was not a dry eye leaving that museum. We all got very emotional over it, and it really put into perspective, I think, how everyone must have felt that morning watching it live on the TVs. Um, Before I left, the 9/11 Memorial and Museum is a non-profit group, so I just bought this hat. It says to honor and remember on the back of it, and the money goes straight towards the memorial and the museum. So I highly encourage you to go check that out as well. It's, like I said, all the money goes back to the memorial and the museum as it's a non-profit group. So I just wanted to take a moment and talk about this visit that I did and make a little tribute video to those who lost their lives on that day.